You would think they would equip them with some kind of emergency system in order, if that happens.
Would increase the costs. Can't do it. Remember,
Yeah.
this is the mass-produced cheap model.
Like a deployable heat shield or something. Oh,
This is built like space programs. It goes to the lowest bidder.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Zeta, beneath me is Justin, and beneath him is Lessons. And we are back with another episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, episode 5. Before anything else though, we have some comments. And of course, this is in the Watch series with the Origin and all the other Gundam shows as well, so we have a little bit of reach back in the comments. Bruce Ingram from the Origin, Rise of the Red Comet, says, "They've always localized Revel's rank as General, which has always seemed weird. But then again, General Revel is a better name for a ship than Admiral Revel." Edit. And of course, the English subtitles from the original Japanese release of Origin you're watching go with Admiral, which is the same way on my UK Blu-ray.
Why would a general be a better ship name than an admiral?
I don't know. General does feel like a better word.
Naming a thing. To me, Admiral hits harder.
Well, what was the Dukes of Hazzard car called?
General Lee.
Yeah, see, General just feels better.
It's because it's a car. It's a land thing.
That doesn't mean anything.
It means
you could land the white base in General still sounds better. It doesn't.
Well,
the name doesn't change, but it's at.
Also, generally, ships are bigger than cars, so Admiral kind of...
That doesn't really work. I mean, there are equivalencies, but I don't know. General just sounds better to me, and clearly this commenter. Admiral just doesn't feel good. I guess sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. I remember there was a ship during World War II that was called Admiral something, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Which carrier? Cruiser?
I think it was on. It was in the Japanese Navy. Can't.
Yeah, the Admiral Gipper.
Oh. I don't know. It's not coming to me, but it's a rare case. Anyway, because obviously I could pull out something called the General something off the top of my head. Can't do it for an Admiral, so maybe it's just taste. I don't know.
Does the General taste different than the Admiral?
Moving on, Jimmy the Goobo 2 says, "There is one important thing Theta losing sight. Revel knows the situation very clearly is that Degwin is not the man in charge anymore, and the real enemy is more ruthless Giran."
I mean, could be, but at the same time, if he does that deal with what's his name? Oh God, I'm blanking out.
Degwin, the name I just said.
Degwin. Yeah, it's the name he said. He could help restore authority to Degwin, right? Because Degwin could have, if they could make that kind of move, then it's like, oh, Degwin is the real leader here, right? But would then Degwin be held responsible for what happened in Operation British? Because I don't see a path forward in a peace negotiation without someone being held responsible, right?
Well, I think everybody knows that Giran is responsible, but shit gets passed up till when it comes to responsibility. Yeah, I mean, I think they're specifically commenting on my argument that Revel is a piece of shit.
I mean, I disagree, but sure.
I know. You're, we know who Getron is. Your choice has been made. I can't wait till I win that war.
I don't think so.
Hey, Justin rule. I'm suppositioning.
I said I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think that I win the war, so it's okay.
I have no idea. All right. Who wants to tell us what happened last time?
Escape from Luna 2. After trying to sabotage Char's rearming and reequipping of his ship, which destroys the support ship but doesn't destroy Char's ship, the white base makes it to Luna 2, which we're told is a giant asteroid that was dragged from somewhere to help build the sides, build the colonies. Immediately, the people in the command structure of the white base gets arrested because suspicion of stealing the base and the Gundams. They don't believe that these people could have done it. But the captain gets gurneyed in. Basically, it's like, no, they're helping out, so please listen to them. Like, oh, okay, true, whatever. Still kept in their quarters. Actually, no, that happens later. They have to then escape when Char cleverly ditches the Sakus and goes, on using, like, what's it called, power packs to fly to the situation, and sets a trap for the troops in Luna. Right, basically they do an attack. And when they're gonna launch their ships, they had mined the approach to Luna and to Luna 2 and destroy a ship that then jams it in precision. And so the crew of the White Base, alongside with Admiral on the Gundam, have to blast their way through and repel the attack from Char. But in the process, the captain eventually succumbs to his wounds, and they continue their journey back to Earth.
All right. Well, of course, next up we have the board, which I don't believe that many changes have occurred. We obviously have the white base is antagonistic to the Falmer. I believe that might have been on there previously.
Yes, it was.
Added Gundam, of course, as dead, but he was also an ally for a time of Char, and of course in direct command, or being commanded by the chain of command. So, line to Dozel he's part of. Is there anybody else? I promise I can't remember if I did all this last time or this time, so I'm just gonna assume. The connection from Joaquin, from the image from the origin, because he finally shows up. As commander of Luna 2.
Yep.
So he's got that connection to White Base. Other than that, I think that is everybody. Unless you guys have a correction that I may have forgotten.
I do not.
Alright. I thought Leslie might have had something there. I guess he was agreeing with you that it was done. Alright. Going into Theta's thoughts then. Sayla and Noah Bright have a rather odd interaction in the last 2 episodes. It feels like he tries making small talk with her, asking where she was before Side 7. She ducks the question and then lies, saying that she came from Earth. Bright tells her this is his first time in space, for which she calls him an elite. He asks her if she's being sarcastic, with a confused look on his face, before she tells him that he needs to grow a tougher skin, and runs off to whatever she's doing. I feel like this is Bright expressing his nervousness over the situation to someone about his age, because you remember he's very young, since everyone else seems to be older or younger than him, only to accidentally put Sayla's guard up in his opening line, which could be seen as innocuous to anyone else but her and her colorful past. It would also explain why he snaps back at her later on the bridge, saying he doesn't like her tone when she asks him to consult the captain.
I think it could be that. I think it also could be the fact that he was like, hey, a cute girl. Oh shit, instantly shot down.
I think it's very interesting what she says. And of course, you haven't watched Origins. It seems to come out of nowhere. But if we have, as we have watched Origins, it kind of shows her upbringing, right? And the fact that she calls him, it's very interesting that she calls him an elite, considering the ideological, the way she was brought up, ideologically speaking, right? Space noids versus Earth noids, right? But at the same time, I think it's a reflection of how the Earth Federation government, up to recently, was in control of everybody. So members of, and the Earth Federation is, centered on Earth, and it's Earth-centric in its thinking and action. So, yeah, it might be that. And she didn't lie exactly. She kind of told a half-truth.
No, she comes from Texas.
Well, remember, she also
Texas.
was. Yeah, but you only remember that she had been on Earth for a while.
No, I'm sorry. No, not Space Texas. Not Munzo. Oh, it was the capital of
It was Zeon.
No.
Zeon, yeah.
No, she comes from the one colony that's being attacked by not being attacked by Zeon. That capital of Loam. Is it Loam? It's not Loam itself, is it?
No.
She's from one of the sides of Loam, and I'm pretty sure it's the capital, but she might be. It's the one that Garma goes on to capture later. Remember, she gets transferred from her doctor's position to Site 7, which only has 30,000 engineers, the guy says. So she comes from that colony directly to Site 7. She says, I came from Earth. One, any generous interpretation of that, no, you come from Munzo, or no, you come from that other side that you just got transferred from. So she is lying.
Yeah. I wonder, the Gundam, as far as I know, doesn't make a decision, but you would think that there would be like other than Space Noid and Earth Noid, that you would have develop certain tics of language and by living in a space station.
They have the argument that we had in Macross 7, where they have like a galactic net sort of thing. So they kind of have like shared. I guess they just have a general culture about them, and maybe who have like certain things like regional dialects, like maybe everyone from Texas talks like they're a Texan, or from Wyoming, or whatever, because it seemed like it was kind of a mix of states there.
Right.
That being said, even if it is a regional dialects thing, like, there's people from the same state who can't understand each other because of regional dialects, let alone countries.
No, but I bring it up, and I could have done the full thought, is that Noah could have picked that up. Like, when she's out from Earth, it's like, well, you don't really sound like you're from Earth, if you grew up in the colonies, right?
Well, for my money, it'd be more like that thing where I was debating if a Zeon soldier would be as strong as a Federation soldier. Is that being raised in less gravity would probably have some effect on your growth. So, a space noid, maybe not all space noids. Like, if you stay in, well, I don't know if the rotational thing is going to be enough to simulate 1-point gravity, but there should be some sort of growth difference. Like, space noids are taller because they have less gravity affecting them. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
You don't look like an Earthling.
Yeah. We don't get expanse levels of body deformation.
But I covered that when I was bringing up how the Zeon military trains its people with basically like the highest tier of like ruck marches used in our military. So they're trying to make their military the equivalent of the Federation. I think it's rather telling that Dozel, who was handing out rewards like crazy 8 months ago, is getting short-tempered at supply requests and even giving less than is asked for to someone he considers to be one of his top men. Zeon might not explicitly be losing the war, but their position isn't exactly on top like it was before either.
After 8 months of war, and people tend to forget that space is big, including a planetary body like Earth. Even if it's only 1/3 landmass, it's a lot of landmass compared. Planet are big compared to the size of people. Planet people, so occupying a lot of terrain, and like I said earlier in another comment, trying to pacify at least 4 billion people spread across the planet over multiple terrain types, etc. That takes a lot of resources. In fact, it's in many ways it apes what happened to the Japanese. The Japanese were winning in the beginning, and they launched the war, Second World War, to get the resources that they needed to maintain their empire. And it turns out that they could barely get the resources to maintain the empire because it takes a lot of logistical effort just to get those resources to where they need to go.
Yeah, Japan's not a metal rich island.
Yeah, so I think it's one described like in North African campaign that whenever one side moved across the northern desert, the more they move either east or west, east for the Germans or west for the Allies, the more resources they had to spend just to maintain the same level of logistics for the units. But simply by matters like each truck consumes water, fuel, spare parts, and lubricants. So the more trucks you have, and the longer those trucks have to go, the more the trucks themselves consume, and they have to pull it from gravity to go to the to maintain the economy of now. Also, the fact that we don't know how the economy has been going, but war disrupts economies, and I'm sure there was strong economic ties between Earth and the sides. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked, right? So, Zeon launching this devastating war on Earth has disrupted the economic ties. So now they have to rely more and more. In fact, where they land in what is today Ukraine, one of the reasons why they land there is because they want to mine that area and get direct resources. And I think they also talked about that in the Antarctic Treaty. Like,
We already
we
had
want these resources.
I know we already had a discussion about the purpose of their landing. I believe you went with that, and I went with denial of resources was their goal. I think the problem when considering that is that they are in space, and they did have the ability to pull asteroids to them to mine, like they did with Luna 2, which implies a certain level of autonomy, given they have the whole solar system to work with. But we don't really know. We don't really know how they pulled Luna 2 in, so it's just kind of an assumption, because they certainly didn't build all the sides off of materials from Earth.
And we don't know what it takes to go all the way to the asteroid belt, find a suitable nickel iron.
I mean, I'm assuming
asteroid.
Von Neumann probe it. I'm assuming they're not sending out like ships to do it. Okay.
As a big project, a starter project, it's good. But constantly doing that might again take more resources than they already have, especially when they're trying to hold Earth or significant portions of Earth and protect themselves from counterattacks by the Federation.
I don't know. Obviously, I haven't done the math on what's easier to get. An asteroid from the asteroid belt that has what you need, or heavy lifting out of a gravity well.
And does it have everything? I mean, can you make soil out of it? Can you? I don't know. You probably nickel iron could get it, maybe soil, but plastics or other things.
I think obviously, unless we learn something drastically new about the asteroid belt, you're probably not getting oil out there. So, unless we learn something drastically new about what could have been a former planet.
I also think, like, when it comes to resources too, it's the things that are not the obvious upkeep stuff. Like, for vehicles, if you're going through a desert, following with your example, that vehicle is going to fall apart. Like, that's not even just parts. The oil cost in that. That's the maintenance costs. Then food. So I understand why after 8 months on such a scale, that resources are scarce.
Because even if you had a stockpile, more resources. Yeah.
Even if you had a stockpile, you can never. I doubt you can have that big of a stockpile without causing problems.
I don't know. Like I said, my headcanon is that it's a denial of resources attack, because I think it would take a lot more to start pulling shit out of a gravity well than it would to just send a couple of automatic drones out to pull some asteroids. Like I said, not a scientist, just my headcanon. Show could prove me wrong.
Do they even have those automatic drones? Because this
yeah, I mean they well, yeah, I think they would. Voyager is basically just
Yeah,
send it out and back.
remember, this is a show from the 1970s, so they're working with whatever they could imagine in the 1970s. What drones would be like Voyager 2 probes and stuff like that.
That's what I just
I don't
said.
think you
Also,
couldn't send that to get an asteroid. That's just.
I mean, I think you could. This would be like the Soviets and their multiple probes of Venus. I mean, tons of failures, but eventually you're going to figure it out. I just don't see them sending ships out there to the asteroid belt. Obviously, we pulled one back. I don't know. It just seems like the easier thing to me. The same way that we did that crash landing on an asteroid, was it last year or this year?
Yeah, but remember that you have to account for the mass of whatever you're pushing.
Yeah.
Right. A little dinky.
I'm not talking like one or two. I mean, I'm talking about like the plans that you sometimes hear for like deflecting an asteroid that's on its way to Earth. You latch a couple of rockets.
There's only one plan for that. What you do is you send oil drillers into space to drill in and blow it up from the inside.
My problem is I would want to go with Deep Impact, but that one just hits the Earth. So, I mean...
Armageddon.
No, I mean, Deep Impact was the other movie around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be stupid to consider why the 3 small children were on the bridge, but to be fair, the shipwide announcement did say for all combat-capable individuals to report to the bridge, irrespective of age. They just considered themselves combat-capable, and no one corrected them.
I mean, that little girl just wants to take on the entire Zeon army by herself. You give her a beam rifle, she's gonna play.
You were this close to losing me on that statement until you said that little girl thinks that she's combat capable.
I'll jump.
The moment you put that in there, I'm like, okay, no, I accept that now.
I'll jump ahead a couple of my notes to get this tied in. I'd get more upset at the Federation soldier pointing a gun at a little girl that stomped on his foot, if not for the fact that pre-declaration of independence, we saw the Federation gunning down peaceful protesters in the streets, so it's never really been in their nature to practice gun safety in the presence of children.
I mean, it worked for them. Well, not for the soldiers, because they got kicked in the face. But,
Well, it worked for the it worked for the guys, the soldiers holding guns against unarmed protesters. Yeah, go figure. The power dynamic there would work out in their favor.
She's also very clever too, because she figured out what they were doing. It's like, okay, I'm gonna contribute. Bam.
It's true.
I know Lessons will disagree with this one, but this is what I thought up the first time I saw the episode, and I'm including it in the second time. You gotta respect the Zeon Supply Corps. Lose their ship, lose their crew, doesn't matter, you're still getting your supplies. They'll even jump out and try to stall the enemy while you reload. All to help the cause. I bet the Federation mail service doesn't even run as smoothly.
I disagree on the Daffy Duck way of, it only works once.
Okay, I thought you were gonna pull like a Duck Dodgers reference or something.
And it's like, okay, you deliver these supplies, but you lost your ship, which could have deliver even more supplies in the future.
Sorry, I can't hear your argument. I died.
Okay. I mean, that's a thing. Yeah, that's a problem.
I can somewhat understand Keen's initial position, given what happened to Minovsky. If a single one of those kids or cadets got their hands on an operation manual or anything related to White Base or the Gundam stuff and described it to the Zeon side, the entire Federation war effort would be ruined. Detaining them and interrogating them just makes sense, more so the civilians than the cadets, but maybe cadets are just given zero leeway in these matters. Saying they'll all go to a military tribunal seems excessively harsh, but a tribunal is just a court after all. It suggests harsh negative consequences, but only if they are found guilty of something. It is entirely possible they could have been acquitted of everything. I think Joaquin is just bumping them down the line to figure out what to do with them.
Pretty much.
Also, I realized I just called him Keen and not Joaquin in the first part, but transcription is bad.
I think it's very likely that that's the case, but I don't think I can go off of that as a default without seeing the follow through.
Sorry,
I mean,
little
they
chuckle
could.
here because we both know Justin has watched the episode of Seed involving Artemis. So
Mhm.
It could very well happen that then that same tribunal gets together and goes like, "Oh, we need scapegoats. You have no family. Your side has been destroyed." Well, two birds, one stone.
Could be. That's very likely. Like you'd have to
And
assume that
as much as I like
there's a high
the Federation,
likelihood.
I would not put it past them.
a scapegoat for what? My implication
failure- failures
here
of-
was that they would go to a tribunal to discover if they had any information at all. Not that they would be charged with anything. Because the idea is that you want to make sure that none of these civilians get out having actual knowledge about the Gundam or the operations.
You wouldn't use a tribunal for that.
Well, that's what they're threatening. That's what they're threatening.
But a court martials, which is tribunal,
remember, this is a show.
Yes, I know.
Sometimes reality does not apply.
If we were to apply in the situation, there would be like he would threaten them with a thorough investigation, right?
Well, I called it interrogation in my own comment, but same thing.
Yes, yeah.
Like you said, though,
Which again,
his is a threat, but it's leveled in a way to make them like, just fucking do what I tell you to do.
And if you have watched other series in the Yusu timeline, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, Justin.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be Justin Rule.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about one very specific show, because other than that, that's only one other UC Gundam show that I watched, and that's when it appeared on Toonami. So, blame Toonami.
MS8's 018.
8th MS Team.
MS Team.
See, that's the one I don't say the 0 in. It's very confusing. Actually, never mind. I was about to make a comment about the timeline, but that's not a timeline. That is a squadron or whatever. So, 8th.
It's a side story.
It's the 8th MS Team. It's the name of the team.
Yeah.
It's the 8th of them.
Mm-hmm.
Char keeps claiming that Sayla is too strong to be Artesia. I feel that due to the fact that when he left her, she would only cry for him to stop fighting, and he always had to protect her. So in his eyes, she's someone to protect, without the will to do what he saw as necessary. It's entirely possible he still regards her as that girl that he left behind, and it's inconceivable that Sayla grew up into this strong woman. At least until someone says her name in front of him, since he knows all of her current aliases.
Yeah, because that was her last alias.
Yeah, she didn't take one more, like Char did.
Yeah.
It was Edward Mass and Sayla Mass, so he knows Sayla Mass. So if somebody had tried to save her from his 15-foot kick, said Sayla, fuck, he knows. That's it. That would have been over.
Unless he believes there's another Sayla with different color eyes that killed his sister to take over her place.
I mean, excepting for the fact that he already considered this might be Sayla, or this might be Artesia. Yeah. So it kind of puts another, to that hat. Here's a nickname I gave Amuro that I haven't said in this entire watch through. Bum Fights Amuro just wants to step up to everyone, it seems. Just about jumps off the wall to confront Joaquin in the hangar. Then Kai says, "You need to eat while you can," and he just about throws fists before Ryu steps in the way. I feel like he's gone from fight mode during the Side 7 attack to survival mode, with not sleeping or eating, to just flat-out aggression. He's certainly acting a bit strange, even for the weird bum Amuro that we already know. That Amuro was hesitant to even talk back to Kai. Now he has one that wants to throw hands at Kai because he said to eat.
I mean, he's gone through a situation where he fought and survived. So now he's crossed that threshold. Before that, it was like, I don't want to get into trouble. Now it's like, I kill people, motherfucker. I can do it again if I have to.
That's what I'm saying.
I think he feels like he has to do it all the time, right? He's like,
he's gone from timid Amuro to fighting to survive Amuro, and now he's just like adrenaline all the time. What'd you say to me about jumps off the wall to confront Rakeen? You should really eat. Fucking get my name out of your mouth.
He's not as testy with what's her name, Frau.
Yeah.
Not as cold or as
Well,
combative.
Fra. That's how I keep
Fra.
pronouncing it.
Fra.
It's with a W sound.
Fra.
It's how I remember the two characters are different from Seed and Gundam. You see Gundam. It's Ha in Seed. It's Fra in you see
Fra.
Gundam.
That's right, Frau and How.
All right, last thought. Captain Paulo got T-blowed, by the way. Another good guy trying to protect the kids who gets bedridden and dies in the midst of a fight that they couldn't do anything about.
He lasted longer though.
Depends. Depends on how you think.
Well, usually in these stories, when the mentor, 'cause that's his role, right? He is the old man. He's the mentor to, most especially Noah. Usually they just die. It's like something happens and they're dead, right? And you're like, oh, there they go, Roy Fokker. And it's like, oh, well, that's sad. That happened.
But what I mean is, you said he lasted longer. It depends on what your basis is. You'd count from T-Blow falling out of a window during an assassination attempt, or are you just basing it on from the moment T-Blow's house got attacked and then he died?
Because he lasts. Actually, T-Blow actually lasts longer, but
especially because you'd have to cut in the origin episodes into 2 episodes to count them as equals.
But he's not as active in their lives. Even when he's like, oh, talking about them, he actually rarely interacts with them. No,
he does everything behind the scenes. He supplies a home for them. He makes sure that the Ramba's crazy dad doesn't get them involved in shit. I mean, he goes on to say, Sayla goes on to say, you were more a father to me, so.
Clearly they have, but the implication is that the time they spend with T-Blow on a personal level, it's all off screen.
Yeah.
Right? So they must have had that, at least Sayla must have had that closer connection to him. Like, I don't know, talking, having dinner, whatever. But we don't see that on screen. It's implied.
Well, even the first time we see T-Blow's telling somebody, some woman, I actually really like this being a parent thing.
So in a way, the captain was more proactive, even though he was bedridden throughout the whole series. In fact, he got wounded because he decided to man a gun, right?
Actually,
get out of the way.
I guess he would have died if he was still on the gun, but the act of Ryu saying, here, I'll take over the gun for you, kind of gets him shrapneled. So.
Yeah. But he was there fighting, right? He took, somebody else was in the gun, died. He took over. And then he's like, no, I'm going to help you. Like, boom, there goes the gun. And
yep, he should have been better at delegation.
Yeah, well, desperate times with those desperate measures. They don't have a lot of people to delegate.
Well, I mean, why was the captain down at the guns to begin with? He should have been on the bridge giving orders.
I think he said something about not the guns being manned, and he went down there to help.
Well,
I don't remember what.
Would have been more invaluable on the bridge and alive. Certainly would have given more orders. All right, well, that was the end of the thoughts. Anything y'all want to bring up on your own before we get into this?
Compared to this recently finished series, not show, because we still have stuff to cover, I like the pacing of this. It's pretty sharp. It's like doom, 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 doom. We're going from one point to the other. Things are happening. We're making discoveries. Characters are being introduced. You feel like stuff is happening. Don't know what it will hold. Maybe the future will change, but for now, it feels like, we're having a good clip. We're not kind of doing, even when we end up with the same fight sequence, the context of that fight sequence, mostly between Amuro and Char, is distinct enough and makes sense. It's not just, oh, here comes Char again. He's going to do the dodge thing. Oh, Amuro's going to try to be frustrated. He can't hit Char. Ooh.
Yeah, but I don't see Char holding the edge for much longer in the fight.
All right.
As much as I love Char,
Char, let's be honest, Char gets a little overhyped. He's a bit of a chump as well.
I disagree. There was a part that I didn't include in my notes because it involves a lot of discussion about stuff that me and Griffin had talked about, and every time it's like, hey, we talked about this, I just cut it out because obviously it has no implication here. But the over-under on it was more about the fact that Amuro is hard to tell if he's ever getting better or not, because of the fact that we know that the Gundam is a learning machine. That the implication is that you would have to take Amuro out of the Gundam and put him into a non-Gundam mobile suit to see if he's actually any better. Versus Char, who we know is skilled to the nines. Because, I mean, that's the thing you've got to give Char. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing you've got to give Char. Char is good at what he does.
Char is phenomenal at what he does. But the problem is he's up against a person who's possible learning and a learning machine. Like, there's only so much you can take.
Again, we don't know how much of it is the machine.
It's true, but it's the same reason why Batman's villains get weaker over time. It's not because they're getting worse. It's because Batman just gets better at dealing with specifically them.
I don't know what you're talking. Batman's villains don't get weaker over time. They come up with new plots that hurt people in different ways.
It's true, but if you look at any of the pictures of Batman as he gets older, villains that gave him big problems in his youth
die of old age along with him. Yeah, well, look at pictures of Batman getting older. What, you mean where he brings in a new apprentice that puts on a super version of his suit to do his job for him because he can no longer do it?
Fair enough.
I know. You talk about villain decay. Will Char suffer villain decay? I think it's a little early to call it, but it's not inconceivable. Especially if you think that Char basically has reached his limit, but Amuro hasn't. So
sure, put Char.
Char was already the ace, yeah. So
I also don't think Amuro has a limit as long as he's piloting the Gundam.
Well, his limit would be the
That's
Gundam's
the problem.
limit.
Exactly, which I don't think if it's a learning machine, I think the moment it starts to reach there, they can just go, "Oh, look at the memory. Let me put in another memory stick."
Obviously, I have no idea how the Gundam works, so I can't comment to that. But my point being is that Amuro. Do you think Amuro is learning as fast as Char would? Because he's got the machine to lift him up if it's a learning machine, which means that Char's skill might be capped, and that Amuro could be approaching that, but it's going to be a mix of two things with Amuro versus versus Char, who's always going to be Char. So you put Char into a Gundam, just going to fucking own everyone.
Oh, put Char into a Gundam, that's another story. But I think the combination of Amuro and the Gundam might be learning faster than Char.
All right. Well, anything else?
No.
Guy on the bottom of the screen. Anything else?
I know. That's it.
Sorry, you don't say anything. Sorry, there's dead air. So I'm just I'll prod him so no dead air. All right. That said, let's go ahead and get on into it.
Do it.
All right, y'all ready?
Ready.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Go. So why is it full circle the Earth when the light is
It's
on the
right.
right-hand side? No, I'm thinking if it's a solar eclipse or whatever you call it, a lunar eclipse.
And I think it's a shockwave.
I like the shockwave idea.
Oh,
I think something that can wipe out half of the population would have had a shockwave or multiple shockwaves, according to Origin. Yeah.
well, remember,
There should be multiple lights.
not all of those deaths occurred during the impact. A lot
Yeah,
of that
but,
was starvation and whatnot.
Yeah, but you don't have to damage the infrastructure and the logistics of the Earth.
Well,
and the crops
also
and all
recall that it wasn't a global effect, or it wasn't like a dinosaur impact. dinosaur impact. What the fuck am I talking about? It wasn't like a global devastation thing. We see visions of what's going on Earth, and the skies aren't even darkened. It didn't put up so much shit into the atmosphere as to create an ice age or anything.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the starvation just comes from the debris that's scattered down across the American heartland.
That could be the case, because
I think just simple disruption of the, transportation and the like. I mean, hit the Pacific. Ports, wiping out entire, the busiest ports on Earth, like Seattle, LA, San Francisco, right?
宇宙世紀0079宇宙都市サイド3はジオン公国を名乗り地球連
What
邦
happens
政
when
府
we
に
reach 100 years from
戦争
now?
を挑んできた
Do we just
こ
say
の戦いで
O
ジオン
179?
公国と連邦は総人口の半分を
There's an element of double, just jump, double O rolls off the tongue.
人々は
But we say O 179 when we're 100 years from now? Or
Yeah, I suppose so.
the oddity of just already including extra numbers and their zeros.
yeah.
Entry to Earth.
So I think we might be going back to Earth.
Oh, that was always the plan.
What do you mean back?
Well, White Base took off from Earth.
Well, last time White Base took off, it was from Luna 2.
Originally came from Earth.
Did it?
Yes.
We saw it in space over Earth for the very first time in Origin. And otherwise it just showed up at Side 7.
アムロったら僕に貸してみてくれません？直せるの？すいません。直せる？
あ、どうも。両親がいなくなってからというもの、こんなものと一日中遊んどるんです。
戦死なさったんですか？
一週間戦争の時にね。あんたは
Now we show that Amuro's a good guy.
父はサイド7で行方不明になりました。はい。
When this
Translation, I murdered my dad. And
To
I
be
don't
fair,
know it.
I do have a question mark on him on the board because Ryu
あ
survived.
の子をわしの故郷へ連れて行こうと思っとるんだ。もう二度と地球の土は踏めんと思っとりましたからな。
It's also the fact that he's like, here, kid, I'll help you.
南米でコーヒー園をやっとってな。知っとるか？これがコーヒーの豆じゃ。今度地球へ帰ったら。
Yeah, that's those Colombians are always carrying pocketfuls of coffee beans in their
Yeah.
suits. Yeah.
わしは地球で骨をうずめるんだ。
大気圏突入25分前。
未来、自信はあるか？
スペースグライダーで一度だけ大気圏に突入したことはあるわ。けどあの時は地上
Don't talk with your mouth
通信
full.
をしていたし、船の形も違うけど。
基本工法は同じだ。サラミスの指示に従えばいい。
That was an incredibly long straw.
シャアがおとなしく引き下がったとは思えないことなの。
That straw was not meant for that juice
突入
box.
することだけを考えていてくれ。
了解。
若造、聞こえるか？はい、リード注意。大気圏突入準備はいいな。我々はサラミスの大気圏突入カプセルで行く。そちらとはスピードが違う。遅れるなよ。はい、了解しました。
I mean, literally we'll have to fall behind. You just said you're going faster than us.
Yeah. No, like, we don't have an option.
I mean, they won't. Never mind. I'm not gonna go on there.
Look, all I'm doing is analyzing the literal things that he said.
呼吸を受けるということは、俺たちの追跡を諦めたということなのか。
Okay.
I do like this. It's like, well, we don't need to put him in a box or anything. We just need to tow
新
them.
たに3機のザクが間に合ったのは幸いである。20分後には大気圏に突入する。このタイミングで戦闘を仕掛けたという事実は古今例がない。地球の引力に惹かれ大気圏に突入すれば、ザクとて一瞬のうちに燃え尽きてしまうから。
Sir?
しかし、
Doesn't the former have guns? Can't we just shoot at them?
ザクで攻撃するチャンスだ。
Nope. Not
第
allowed.
一目標木馬、第二目標敵のモビルスーツ。戦闘時間は2分とないはずだが、諸君らであればこの作戦を成し遂げられるだろう。期待する。
地球降下要員は体験カプセルに乗り移れ、サラミス本艦はカプセル放出後直ちにルナ2に帰還せよ。カミラ。
Next one thing you can say for Char, he's not going to sneak up on you.
自信はありません。しかし考えようによっては
Unless you're in the
True.
red room.
データからすると無罪はソドンと接触しています。補給を受けたか緊急の
Hey, you have to be fashionable while you eliminate Earth forces, you know?
はい、それで生き残ってきたと思ってます。
では私は地球に降りてくる。
You're alive because the writers haven't killed you yet. That's why.
ミサイルはスタンバっておけ。了解。シャアは追ってくるから。まさか。
Yeah, having that Galaxy Quest existential crisis of what's my
サ
name.
ラミスのカプセル離脱。ホワイトベースはカプセルについていきます。
Thank you for repeating the thing that you just said.
ホワイトベース
You gotta make sure it's
本
understood.
艦は8分後に大気圏に突入します。立っている人は座ってください。船が揺れるようなことがあっても騒がないように。各戦闘員メカニックマンは
Put on your seatbelts. Please don't use any cellular
発
devices.
進する可能性がある。メカニックマンはそのつもりで。
And sit your ass down. There are no exits because we're going to be in
映像出しま
atmosphere.
す。最
Re-entry.
大防衛です。接触推定時間34秒後。ハッチ開け。ガンダム急速発進。
アムロ、発信後4分でホワイトベースに戻って。必ずよ。
了解。セイラさん、僕だって丸焼けになりたくはありませんから。
後方 R3 度。
Well, I mean, we already know that the Zeons are only planning to attack for 2
手持
minutes.
ちのザクはないはずだ。そうじゃないセイ
So
ラ
your
さん。
4-minute window
True.
is double the amount of time that you
ホワイトベー
need.
スの援護は。
後方のミサイルと機関砲で。
Yeah, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah,
高度には気をつけて。
saying that from our absolute position as the
最中に
audience.
気をつけられると思うんですか。
True. We see all sides. We are lucky.
おだてないでください。
If a lovely blonde tells you you can do it, shut your trap and say yes.
あれか。
敵もモビルスーツを発進させたようだ。ドレン、援護しろ。我々は二手に分かれて攻撃を開始する。
了解。
My boy Dren.
よし、発進。ミサイル発射。
後方よりミサイル。
You actually don't have to yell.
高度を下げてくだ
Even
さい
though。there's a distance between us, the radio is right in front of
戻れ
you.
ないのか。無理です。
Nope, nope. Yell it. It's a yell activated radio.
遠すぎるか。
ミサイル第2波回避。後方 AM ミ
Oh,
サイル。
transparent missiles,
撃て
yeah.
ないのか。
Yeah.
ブライト、落ち着いて。みんな慣れてないのよ。
なんで迎撃しないんだ。
僕はもともとミサイル要員じゃないんです。
Oh, snap.
くそー。死にたくなかったら何かしろ。その辺にミサイルの撃ち方の教科書があんだろ。
大丈夫。自動車を直してくれたお兄ちゃんが敵をやっつけてくれるよ。
そうだよね。
今度こそ
Why use him as the example?
これで何度目なんだ。
Because he's the one who pilots the Gundam.
Yeah, did he say that during this conversation with him? I don't think so. All he knows is he's wearing a uniform.
何？
Because he's the main character.
Oh, the weapons are improving.
アムロ、シャアに気を取られすぎないで。ザクがサラミスのカプセルを。
了解。
When did they have a means of improving their weapons?
うかつなやつ
Last
ね。
8 months.
立てよ。
シャアはやらせるか。そこだ。しまった。バズーカの
I doubt you're ready to take on the red comet yet.
無理よ。ライフルを発射することはできないわ。メカニックマンに聞いてみるけど。
君は左の機銃を。僕は機銃なんて。僕だってやったことはない。
Don't worry,
You're gonna
guy.
have to learn
There's
to
literally
jump
only
today.
been one casualty on this thing. It was the captain, but don't worry.
了解。
しゃ
アムロ、今はガンダムハンマーしか打ち出せないわ。
Oh, this
それ
fucking
でいい
thing.
です。
了解。ハンマーを発射したら教えるわ。前をアムロ。
分かってます。このバルカン方が。
Yeah, that guy's not doing too well.
助けてください。車掌さん、車掌さん。
You know, you should eject if that's the case. You have a spacesuit. You know.
Don't know that there are any ejectors. Also, just one of the fact that nobody ever tries to like climb out of the cockpit at the very least.
ハンマーを発射するわ。いいわね。
Although they're going to re-entry, so he would have died in.
Amuro, it's been 5 episodes. We got a new toy to sell.
しゃ
とどめだ。
Selling those toys is important, you know?
しゃめ。
I feel like you could clip that that motion of the Gundam like that, and, like just subtitle, "What's with airplane food?" That's something.
Now I'm just imagining a whole Jerry Seinfeld set, but Gundam clips.
スペアがなくなるとは。
侵入角度が深すぎるぞ。大丈夫なのか？
大丈夫とは言えません。しかし、
天井が。リード艦長、ノーマルスーツが。早く。空気が抜ける。
Yes, the suit I feel the most normal
応
in.
急テープだ。何かが燃えているぞ。消火しろ。
あ、はい。
艦長、お怪我も。スーツだ。怪我はいつでも直せる。お、もっと丁寧にやれんのか。
サラミスのカプセルに
You told him. You told him to patch it. You know, it's like patch the suit. Don't worry about the wound.
ブライト君、このままだと。
Ow, don't hurt me while you patch the suit.
了解しました。ホワイトベースに収容します。
頼む。
セーラ、アムロに2機のザクを引き離すように伝えろ。
無理です。アムロはシャアと戦うので精一杯なのよ。10% 加速。
Didn't we tell him not to focus on Char?
オムル、サラミスのカプセルを収容する。準備急げ。
We did tell him not to focus on Char.
こいつ動きすぎるぜ。
ハッチ開放です。サラミスカプセル、聞こえますか？レーザーロックを発射します。ロック後、オートマチック願います。了解。ザク、大丈夫か？
Also, I might be bad at estimating time, but this feels like it's been longer than 2 minutes.
It very much has.
ジャン、何をやってる？
They're space minutes.
接近して叩け。それではザクの性能は発揮できん。
しかし、銃撃が激しくて。
これで激しいものか。よく相手を見て下から攻めてみろ。トム、私についてこれるか。
少佐、大丈夫であります。ザクの右手が使えないだけです。ヒートフォークは左手で使います。
上等だ。よく切り抜けてくれた。
Okay.
私と敵のモビルスーツに当たる。アムロ、ザクがホワイトベースの下に回り込む。頼む。
戦況は
思わしくありません。無限機銃迎撃急げ。
Okay.
ウォールフィルム処理急げ。第4ブロック、ウォールフィルムを貼れ。誰かいないのか。
Fire the machine guns.
Hey, lawsuits I think these things have been involved in. They look like chewing gum. The kids have just like died.
I tell you, you give that little girl a beam rifle, she'll blast the hell out of the Xeons. She'll just win the war thing handily.
You know what? Put her in the Gundam.
Yeah.
ガンダムを上に出させないのか。
腕が上がってきたようだな、このパイロットは。いいぞ、コム。
Okay. I like the fact that they're actually damaging the Gundam.
なめるな。
コム、
You know, I get the feeling that those guys are there so that they die in place of Char. Otherwise, Char should have died a long time ago.
Very much so.
ドレンのカプセルに戻れ。クラウン、聞こえないのか。大気圏突入。シャッター上げろ。ガンダム収容は後部ハッチから行う。各砲座収容。
Arguably, why don't we have these things up all whole time?
It's true.
You have to be in spacesuits.
No, I mean, they've been in a fight for what, 2-3 minutes now. Raise the defensive shutters at the start of the fight.
Could be a power thing or like the amount of time they can have them up.
Oh yeah. Mobile Suit Gundam, Five Nights at Freddy's.
アムロ、戻れ。ザクはいい。ブライト君。私の使命はこのホワイトベースとガンダムを無事に連邦軍本部に送り届けることなんだ。ガンダムを収容しろ。アムロに言ってください。素人が使うからこんなことに。しかしガンダムを出さなければホワイトベースを撃ち落とす。
Get me someone who's not an amateur.
椅子にお座りください。危険です。外壁冷却機能プラス3に上昇。
軍法会議門だぞ。いいの。
Yeah, that's a threat.
Well, one of us isn't making it to Earth if they don't shut their fucking mouths.
Crown は
ダメです。残念ながら回収不可能です。少佐、シャー。助けてください。減速できません。シャー少佐、助けてください。
クラウン。 ザクには大気圏を突破する性能はない。気の毒だが。しかしクラウン。
You would think they would equip them with some kind of emergency system in order, if that happens.
Would increase the costs. Can't do it. Remember,
Yeah.
this is the mass-produced cheap model.
Like a deployable heat shield or something? Oh, he's...
This is built like space programs. It goes to the lowest bidder.
Heat like that.
Yeah. I mean, you know the tale of, yeah, what is it? Airplanes, making everything cheaper. So you, like, reduce the size of, the food by 1 olive, and it saves you, like, $10 million in a year. If we don't give them that little, heat shield thing, that's enough for, like, another 10 takus.
Absolutely, it is. Like, it's the case where do we put a disposable garbage bag with them or no?
How did we go right from 29 to 26?
That's how future counting works.
Say some of the numbers. You know how many millions they say by not counting that?
敵の侵入角度を変えさせて我が軍の制圧下の大陸に木馬を引き寄せる二段構えの作戦ですな。
戦いは非常さ。そのくらいのことは考えてある。
ガルマ大佐です。
よほう、なんだい赤い彗星。
その呼び名は返事をしなくっちゃならんようだよ。ガルマザビ大佐。
珍しく弱気じゃないか。
敵の V 作戦って聞いたことがあるだろう。その正体を突き止めたんだがね。
なんだ。
Okay.
そのおかげで私はザクを8機も撃破されてしまったよ。
ひどいものだな。そんなにすごいのか。
そちらにおびき込みはした。君の手柄にするんだな。後ほどそっちへ行く。
よし、そのご好意はいただこう。ガウ攻撃空母で迎え撃つ。緊急出動だ。
This is our first look at Garma in
I was gonna
this version,
say.
right?
I think so.
Older. He looks older.
Well, he's 8 months older.
Yeah, but that's not much.
I mean, depends. He's hard, I would say hard living. He looks like he's a pretty good house. I don't know. He's on Earth. That's definitely different.
Doing the Superman pose.
I mean, he's still in free fall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save him.
このモビルスーツがあれば連邦軍はジオンに勝てる。
Help me.
無線回復着艦します。
The mobile suit's stuck like this. It's not going to be real great to fight in anymore.
ほらごらんペロ、あれが地球だよ。
あれみんな陸地なんだね。
Pelo.
こっちが海。
I found that funny because pelo in Spanish means hair. So if a grandfather is from Colombia, you know, South America,
Oh, I thought you
it's
were
like,
gonna
hey,
make a
hey,
Haley
hair.
joke.
Yeah. Hey, hair.
予定進入角です。現在までのコースです。
これでは何にもならんじゃないか。
Not for nothing, you could play a real cool game of that last part of Where in the World is Carmen San Diego on that floor.
Yeah.
So I'm targeting the 80s kids with that one.
我々はシャアにはめられたんです。
Hey, you can play a good strategy game on that, like Battletech or something. Which also targets 80s kids, and then some. Always find these fighters to look very silly.
All of Xeon's shit looks silly.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sagos look cool.
Okay, not all of them. I mean, like the carriers and the warships.
It's interesting that the white base is very blocky in comparison, right?
ホワイトベースを地上に追い詰める。正規軍との戦いは一瞬の息抜きも許されなかった。さらに地球の重力はアムロたちに苦戦を強いる。機動戦士ガンダム次回ガルマ出撃数。君は生き延びることができるか。
Will you be able to survive?
Yep, time we heard it. We heard it.
True. It's almost like it's
sixth time actually. Sorry, they said it in the end of episode 6 of Origin. So sixth time we've heard it.
So far, we've been able to survive.
Well, I mean, we're not on the show, so real damn
You don't know that.
Well, I know because the show was made in 1979, and you're not that old.
I was gonna say, don't tell me how old I am, but
I didn't.
That's actually true.
I didn't tell you how old you were. I just said you're not that old. So yeah, that was re-entry to Earth.
Another exciting episode of Gundam.
True.
Mobile Suit Gundam. Again, stuff's happening. Things are moving. People are doing charge, trying to be clever and failing.
I don't know that he's failing. The two-part plan worked out fine.
I'm finding.
I think the two-part plan is, oh yeah, sure, that's how I planned it. Not really. I just happens that way. But I'm gonna claim it anyway. He's a bit of a shit talker. We know that as well. It's like, well, sure. Like he's not gonna go like, no, I did not plan that. That completely happened out of the blue. Of course, he's gonna say, yes, you have to make sacrifices. Of course.
I mean, the way he deprecated himself to Garma makes it feel like it actually was part of this plan. Because otherwise, why would he?
Well, we've seen him try to manipulate Garma before.
Right. But this time it's like,
common.
Well, this time it's like, oh, and I've lost 8 mobile suits trying to do this. It's like he's even like shitting on his own nickname. So it feels like he's trying to manipulate Garma in a way that he planned to do.
I agree with that.
I don't see it more. I see it more like playing, what's it called? There's a trope about that, which is
planning to improvise.
Huh?
He plans to improvise.
Yeah, basically. you know, he didn't mean to happen that way, but he's like, well, this is the situation I am, so I'm gonna take the best of it.
Yeah,
That's
No,
what he
no
does.
comment. No comment.
But that's different from planning.
Yeah.
That's just
Well, no, you're planning to improvise. You're going into the scenario with the plan to come up with something later.
That's not a plan.
That is technically a plan. You're planning to improvise. I would also point out that improvisation is a skill. So you're planning to use a skill. That's planning to improvise.
That's not how that works at all.
That is literally how that works.
No.
You're
talking about two different things.
This has been a discussion before.
Yeah.
This is why my mouth is.
The
not
comments have
opening.
weighed in on it as well. So you can plan to improvise.
No, you can't.
No,
You can. You literally can.
No,
it's literally the opposite. You're improvising because you don't have a plan.
No. You can improvise even though you've had a plan. You can improvise in the middle of a plan. You can plan to improvise.
You can totally move to stay still. You can absolutely move to stay still.
So you're telling me that when an improv comic goes up on stage, they haven't planned to improvise?
No, because it's not planned.
It's a plan. Look, I'm planning to go to the comedy club this weekend and get on my improv technique. I'm planning to improvise. That's it.
Your plan stops the moment you start improvising. That's the thing. Because the plan doesn't work, you go like, I gotta improvise because I don't have a plan anymore.
No.
That's the whole point.
No, your whole plan was to improvise. Thus, you're planning to improvise.
You didn't have a plan to begin with.
You did. You did. The start of the plan. The start of the plan was when you started to improvise.
No, that was. It's literally goal. You had a goal, not a plan.
No.
You wanted to do something.
Your
and
goal is what you're
you
improvising to do. That's the goal. To get there, you have to improvise. But when you decided to come up with a plan of what to do, you chose to plan to improvise.
Oh my God.
You chose not to plan at all.
No, that was part of your plan.
Doesn't matter. There is no plan. There cannot be a plan. Literally, definitionally, it cannot be a plan.
It is.
My God, if I pull up the encyclopedia right now, like plan improvisation, then you can train yourself to be a skill of improvisation.
Yes,
but you cannot
and then when you're
plan
done
to
your
improvise.
training of improv, you can plan to improv.
No. Absolutely, definitionally, that's not possible.
They're not separate things. One does not negate the other. You can plan to improvise.
If somebody says, "What's your plan?" I'm going to improvise. What you're saying is you don't have a plan. I'm just going to wing it.
No,
That's what improvisation is.
That's different. If somebody says,
How
I
is it
don't
different?
have a plan, I'm going to improvise, they're just improvising. And if I say, I have a plan, when we get there, I'm going to improvise, I'm planning to improvise. One is somebody coming up with something off the top of their head. The other person is prepared to improvise.
No. Somebody's bullshitting, and the other person is not. That's the difference. Like,
Disagree.
It's like you improvise and then you say, "Oh, that was my plan all along."
Yeah, if it was your plan, all along, it was your plan. If you're improvising that it was your plan, then you're improvising to plan.
No. Okay. Plan. How's the plan? Step 1, improvise. That's it. There's nothing else. So there's nothing to begin with.
There's no rule that say how many steps a plan has to be. If step 1 is improvise, that's still step 1 of a plan.
It's the end of the plan. The plan died the moment you said step 1 improvised.
No, that's not death of a plan. That is the plan. There's no rule that says how many steps a plan has to have.
You know what the rule is? Definitions. Like you look at it in the dictionary, it's like improvisation, plan. Oh God.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. No. At the same time, a plan is not the direct opposite of improv. You can put improvisation into your plan. You can plan to improvise. This is going to be the part that gets everybody likes. It's going to be, God, you guys talk over so much of the show. God, plan to improvise. What the fuck?
I can't even,
No,
this is
I'm
like,
no.
I'm no. That's you win this out of pure BS. You're BSing your way through this. That's how you win this.
I mean, sure.
On pure cheek. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna stick to my points. Doesn't matter.
Well,
That's
I mean,
okay.
that's the best way to win an argument. I feel like if you change the discussion to something else, then that's not a good way to talk about anything. Stay on point.
Okay. Anyway, this episode. Any further thoughts? I just gave my own.
I mean, mostly it's you two, because obviously I come back with Theta's thoughts like every other episode, so.
Yeah, I like that they're showing levels of technology that feel still realistic to this day.
Yeah, sure, ball and chain in space, why not? Dumbest fucking thing.
That I
Gotta
agree
sell
with.
a new toy. Well, look, we're about to land on Earth. Let's introduce the ball and chain that gravity will certainly have no great effect on.
So, Fra?
To who?
Well, never mind.
That was funny.
No. Yeah.
It's more the fact of like, okay, so we need to put heat coating on a Gundam. Cool. How are we going to change? No, we're going to give him a thing to put over the Gundam.
I mean,
so we don't have to
heat shield, yeah.
Because it's not a permanent heat shield. It's just temporary. Beautiful.
I mean, that's how. I mean, it's a difference between landing an Apollo on Earth and, say, the shuttle. The shuttle had the tiles, which are permanent, and the Apollo had a series of deployable, shield that was, just for that.
Yeah.
And it would burn up, and that's it. It wasn't reusable. It was temporary.
Because it also shows that they're not like blowing their money on every aspect of the machine. They're like, okay, hold on. We don't need to worry about hyperheat on this thing. Give it a temporary shield, maybe two. It'll be fine.
I mean, arguably, it's about how the lasers work. If it's the lasers are a heat-based weapon, then having a heat shield permanently on your Gundam would help.
I'm talking about like a heat shield to the level of re-entry into orbit.
Right.
Not like
but
a
imagine
heat
how
shield
much that
in
would have helped.
general.
Imagine how much that would help you, though, getting hit by a heat-based weapon.
That might be the case, but that's overkill.
Is it?
I don't
Absolutely.
think, actually, I think that those weapons would just burn through that shield. If we talk about, like the beam cannon and stuff, it would just burn through.
I mean, it'd be
It'll take
some
probably
level of protection. It'd probably be like a blade of armor at that point.
Yeah, it'll be one hit, two at most, and that's it.
Which is more than zero.
Yeah, but eventually you also have to balance that to how the weight of it, the maintenance of it, and whether or not it affects the performance of the Gundam.
I mean, in a real-world scenario, Tamino, the designer of the entire fucking thing, indicated that Gundams are meant to be space weaponry, that they would never work on Earth. Apparently, they did real research into it before they made their walking, air quote, Gundam.
Yeah.
For the one for display.
Uh-huh.
Because that's the whole that's what the whole apology letter at Gundam HQ is that we wanted to build a real Gundam, but we did all the research and figured out you couldn't do that. Gravity's a bitch.
I mean, that's always been the strike against bipedal mecha, right? That it doesn't really work in atmosphere and in gravity, I should say.
Well, yeah, because those joints would get demolished.
We haven't built material strong enough.
I don't know. I don't think his little letter about why all the reasons why it wouldn't work involved actual material strength. I think his was all gravity, and there's no way to, as slow as the thing fucking moves, it wouldn't be impossible for it to catch up with it falling over on itself.
That too, stability as well.
So if you got one of those robotics AI things that we keep kicking over, to make sure it really hates us when it comes alive, put that into there. All right. Well, I guess that is it for this episode. Once again, I have been Theta. Beneath me is Justin. Beneath him is Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?